Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for your attention today. I'm going to take a little bit of a pause from a lot of the exciting things that you guys are going to see today throughout the day in terms of just the technologies that are out there. At the reception I was at yesterday, someone said something that has really stuck to me in terms of this idea of these 3 clocks. Today, we're kind of working around 3 clocks. Our AI clock is going in an amazing way in the seconds and minutes timeframes. Our human clock's trying to absorb this AI and trying to work with it is probably in the hours and days. We're trying new things all the time. We're trying to see what's going on. We're excited about all the new models that we can play with in our prompts, et cetera. And then there's our organization clocks. And our organization clocks is still, unfortunately, is at the months and the quarters level. And at Stanford Health Care, as we're rolling out a lot of these AI technologies, we're really thinking about how do we build organizational frameworks for these sustainable AI programs, given everything we're going to see and everything I think we're going to see coming in the next 1 to 5 years is a really exciting time. So most organizations, I would say today, are on a data and an AI journey. Stanford Health Care not being alone in this. And it's really interesting when you start thinking about what that means. It really means is how you're going to get the organization to think more, not just about reports, but about predictions and about the types of things you can help enable through the forecasting that might happen. And as you think about that, you really need a North Star. And when you think about what the North Star is, like, how are we going to get everything that we're doing at the health system to have a data and AI lens? Now, not that everything should have a data and AI lens, but having that mindset allows us to then be more in place to be able to action on the data and the AI that we're able to kind of get. And as we can see over here on this slide, it starts all the way from leadership to everything that you're going to look at from an outcomes perspective. And where is Stanford in this organizational journey? I'm very happy to say we're very fortunate. Our leadership is committed to responsible implementation of AI and data, and that's in place. And that's been amazing. It's really enabling us to think very differently about the type of work that we should be able to do. We've also spent a lot of time on the research side. A lot of the technologies, being at MIT, I don't know if I should say this, but are happening at the Stanford side as well in terms of the frontier research. As well as the work that's happening around how should we be assessing and implementing responsible AI around this. On the operational side, I would say that we're still early on the practice and delivery side of the business. We're rolling it out. We're learning, again, from that organizational clock perspective, how do we get an organization coming together to do this? Just to kind of give you a brief overview of some of the things we've done at AI at Stanford Health Care, we have a lot of tools in place, some homegrown, some from vendors, across administrative use cases, patient engagement, clinical and decision support, and clinician efficiency. So there's lots going on. I encourage you to come see our websites. Happy to talk to you more about those. A core thing that we're trying to roll out as we think about the organization is this idea of a responsible AI lifecycle. And what that means is how are we going to think about this from a responsible implementation standpoint, make sure we understand the potential ethical implementations for clinical-facing workflows, as well as make sure that the organization knows how to think through these, right? So as an organization, we may have 100 things we can implement from AI, but only 10 may make sense. How do we actually understand that? And how do we as an organization come through and work on that? As we think about that scaling, there's 3 components we keep seeing. We see this idea of building models, building technologies. There's things about verifying benefits, and this again kind of comes down to assessments. And then finally, building technologies to actually deploy into health systems with all the variety of different things, integrating across all the different systems we have, and the various different data interoperability challenges that many of you may be familiar with. In terms of assessments, what's really interesting is using some of the standard terminology that an organization may be already aware of. So just like any non-AI, you'd be thinking about building a business case. You'd be thinking about having a financial assessment. A key component that we don't see a lot in AI implementations that is new than in non-AI. Sorry. A key thing that we don't see a lot in non-AI implementations is things that we want in the AI implementations. That usually ends up being an ethics assessment and the monitoring plan. So as these AI technologies are going out, things may drift, things may adjust, and especially in health settings, how are we going to adjust to that, and how do we know what's happening as we go through? And so as part of all of this, we have an assessment process that we've published on that is used. And furthermore, a lot of the work we've been doing over these past few months is really kind of getting down to like, what does monitoring mean? And the reason for this is really getting to this shared language between what people do in an organization and what you want to do as a data scientist, as an AI technologist, even as a software implementation guru. So having this ability to be able to say, hey, when I say monitoring, I mean, how's my system hooked up? What are my model performances going on? And what are the operational parameters I'm going to look at to measure success? Getting shared language and working around that has surprisingly taken a while. And layering on top of that, which group in an organization is responsible for what component across the AI lifecycle has really helped us really kind of get to the scale and the work that we want to be able to do as an organization. I'll leave you with one last comment. At Stanford Health Care, we think of AI as something everyone has to do. And data and AI is really kind of the engine of a lot of the work that needs to happen. And what we often see is that you want to take the engine and you want to put wheels on it. But that's not how an organization works. What you really need to do is you want to build the car around the engine, because all of that has to come together for really AI to be able to sustainably be rolled out and implemented across an organization. Thank you very much. I'd like to acknowledge Nigam Shah and Anurang Revri, as well as our Stanford Health Care data science team.
Nikesh, that was a great talk. I have a question for you. You use the analogy of a motor and a car. That's one car. The United States is such a big country, and there's different healthcare systems all around. How do you scale? How do you get everyone to collaborate on something that would be in everyone's best interest? Because you see a lot of different organizations trying to do something similar to what you're doing. There's a lot of competition. How would you scale this in this kind of difficult environment?
I think there's two things. There's the scale that will come from just being able to use this within your organization. And I think just like we've seen with a lot of protocols out there and a lot of technologies out there, I think getting a few examples of things working well will lead to others kind of coming together and forming. Right now, we have a lot of conversations of what should do or how to do something, as opposed to like examples of people doing things. And so as soon as we get a few of those out, I think we'll see a good convergence of what's working from a best practice standpoint.
One of the questions as well is, you talk about collaboration, and have you guys thought about the legal implications? Because there's a lot of foundational IP, for example, that takes place. Where do you stand on that in trying to make that merge work?
That's a good question. I think, again, there are two classes of problems that people kind of can think of in healthcare. So there's a problem around like the science and kind of thinking about drug discovery and the work there. And I think there's a lot that's going to happen there from an IP perspective. Very interesting, and people are working through that. As a health system, my job is to kind of make sure that our patients can come in, get the right care, and move through the system, and all the different constituents can get the work that's needed. So in a case like that, it's less about the IP. It's really about operational efficiency.
Got it.
And kind of like really getting that in the right place and getting to, again, kind of coming back down to best practices implemented and shown and getting adoption.
Great.
So
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you.